Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd give a couple of updates. Had a couple of races last few weeks. I'm into my 4th week back training now after my couple of weeks off since the Europeans. So had a good 3-week block and then an easy week last week. But yesterday was cross country. Last week I actually did a middle distance duathlon, so I'll kick off there. So I decided just to have a bit of a last duathlon of the year, and entered the sort of quite a local duathlon, a middle distance organised by ATW, and I went down there and did that the week before last. So and the idea was just have a bit of a hit out, really run the 10k pretty hard, and then see how the legs felt, really. So had a good run on the first 10k. I decided to go off with the 5k sprint guys and just see how well I could run. So in actual fact, the middle distance race was probably pretty stacked in terms of the top guys. So we actually went through the first 5k with the sprint guys ahead of the standard guys. So I think we were actually probably through the first 5k, and I think we were second and third through, myself and the eventual winner. So we sort of went through the first 5k pretty quick, and then just worked hard, really. The first 10k had a solid run, sort of 5:45 miling generally throughout on a sort of trail loop as well. So pretty pleased with that, and then headed out onto the bike, so 64k bike, and it was a bit difficult to judge what to wear with the weather, whether to have gloves on, gilet, or at least an undergarment. So I actually had a sort of a thermal Huxon undergarment with my ordinary sort of race skin suit, which was sort of Huxon branded. So I wore that. It was pretty warm. Didn't actually in the end opted for no gloves. I do suffer with a little bit of circulation sometimes, especially in the hands. They do tend to get a little bit cold, but they seemed fine, to be fair. So I had a good sort of bike, came in second in on the bike. The guy that actually I ran with on the first run pulled away a bit on the first bit of the bike, so I think I lost a couple of minutes, to be fair, on the bike. But I had a pretty solid bike effort, considering I hadn't really done much on the TT bike since the Europeans, and actually it's only my 3rd or 4th race out on the new bike. So that's the longest stint I've done on the new bike as well. So I was pleased with that, and sort of went into the final 10k. Come off the bike obviously in second, but the sort of legs sort of fell off a little bit. Just didn't have the pace really on the final run. I think that sort of a 5-minute swing, I think, on the second 10k, and I think that was just a bit of not enough fitness really after only 3 weeks back since my couple of weeks off and tapering down for the Europeans and things. So I think I finished in about a 3:09. Eventually got 3rd overall. Couple of minutes off the guy in second, but I think it's about 4 or 5 minutes off the leader in the end. But solid race. I think that the two guys that actually beat me were probably 10 plus years younger as well, so obviously in a lot younger age group. So first sort of in my 40 to 44 category. So, and I think I did a 3:09 in the end. I think when I raced in the summer and did my first middle, I think it was probably about a 3:08. I think the course was probably a little bit more undulating perhaps on the run course, but I think I probably ran a better second leg. So all in all, pretty pleased, considering it was my sort of 3rd week back. And then I think this week I've just struggled a little bit with training, sort of Monday, Tuesday, just in terms of a little bit of fatigue from the race on Sunday. So I went in and did a sort of run session Monday. I think it was 5 times 4 minutes with a minute recovery, or minute 15 recovery. So they were sort of a hard session on Monday morning on the grass after racing on the Sunday, and then had a couple of good sort of bike sessions to do this week, which were sort of over and unders, which I really hate, but they're really good for you as well. So it's sort of a minute at 280 watts, minute 30 at 300 watts, then another minute at 280, back to 330, back to 300, back to 280, and you do sort of 3 up and overs. So 1 rep you would class as 280 for a minute and 300 for a minute and a half. So 3 of those sort of back to back, bit of a rest, and I think it was 3 sets of those from memory. And then on the Thursday I did sort of 5 times, or 5-minute efforts I think as well, all at about 300. So 2 sort of quite solid bike sessions, and I think they were an hour and 20, an hour and a half sessions as well, so quite long sessions. And then another run session of, I think it was 20 times 1 minute, so another solid sort of run session as well this week. So had a good big hard week's training off the back of that, the race last, or the race I did at the middle distance, and then this weekend raced the first Birmingham Cross Country League. So we've actually moved up a division, gone into Division 2 now for Western Tempo. So first hit out down in Gloucester at Pidcock, I think it's Pidcock or Plock Court I think it was called. So it's about an hour or so drive, so drove down there. So on Saturday, actually did a steady hour on the bike beforehand on the turbo, and then went down and raced that. So it was just over 10k, I think 6.3k or something like that. So it was just over the 10k, because I think it was 6.3 mile, which, but actually pretty good race. Sort of wanted to run a hard tempo, so my coach Simon King sort of said, right, we'll use it as a really hard sort of tempo session, so not to go all in, but sort of 90% sort of effort. So went off what I thought was pretty steady pace, or reasonable sort of pace, and then I ran sort of, I think, because I ran the course last year as well, it was actually the second league race last year, but they haven't had a combined, normally the first race of the year they combine all of the leagues in one big race, but they've actually just kept it different this year and just had the single race. So I was actually 11 seconds a mile quicker than I was on that course last year, so overall about just over a minute quicker than I was last year, so I can't grumble with that. I think there's probably a little bit more there to give. I thought lap 2 I was going pretty well, but there was a couple of Western Tempo guys up ahead. We probably finished 20 seconds, maybe a little bit more ahead, so I think target for next time is just to get on the back of those guys. I think I was 30th or 31st overall, but I reckon I can, on a good day, if I can get the pacing right, I think I can still be looking at sort of top 20 in the league races there, so something to work towards really. But it was a good day out, and then today just followed that up with a long run, keeping the long runs up this winter. It's actually out on my own again today. The normal guy I sort of run with, Mark, he was actually watching England cricket final, so I think they were in the final of the T20, so he did his long run yesterday, so I watched. So I went out and actually did that session on myself today, which was pretty grueling to be fair, after I think the cross countries, which I love doing, but first one of the year with the spikes after the race last weekend. The calves were a bit tight this morning, so went out, tried to get on some new trails, just try and explore a little bit as well, which is always good to keep the sort of the interest up in terms of running on new trails. Is so much easier than sort of going through the old sort of routes and knowing where the pain's come in and things like that. So I tried to look at some new routes today out towards Belbroughton and Clent, and the sort of towards the motorway where I live. So some new routes. So managed to get out, find a couple of new bridle paths, new footpaths. In fairness, I think what I might do in a couple of weeks is just drive 4 or 5 mile down the road with Mark, park somewhere, a little village, and then run from there, because there's a lot of trails out towards Belbroughton way, which just takes me about 4 or 5 miles to get there. So in essence, you're not really getting too much running on the new stuff. So hopefully, if I can just drive out sort of 4 or 5 mile, start there, and then we can go and explore quite a few other routes. But the the runs was fantastic today. Found some new trails. A couple of weeks ago I did a run out that way and found a new bridle path, so today I sort of ran to there down the bridle path and then tried to find as many new sort of little routes and stuff as possible. So I think it was about 10 mile in and on my way back and was unsure which way to go, so I sort of tried a new trail, but in the end decided just to do a 180 and turn around, because I think I would have ended up doing a lot further than I needed to do. So I think I managed about 17 mile in the end today. Just under 3 hours running, really steady, but the calves and everything and the legs were pretty tired. I think I was a broken man when I got home from the run today, but yeah, really enjoyed it. It's great to get out. And now I'm just going to knuckle down for another good sort of 3-week block now. I've got the next league race December the 3rd, so I look forward to doing that. And then this week I've sort of got my notification that I've gotten for the World Middle Distance, so I'm just deciding on race plans for next year really. I've got in for both the standard races in terms of the European, which is, I believe it's in Venice in Italy. I've also got in for the World's standard distance in Ibiza, but it looks like the World's middle distance could be the weekend after in Denmark, so in Viborg I think, which is a powerman race, so it looks like it's going to be there. Looking at their website, they've got a bit of a the ITU sort of logo on it, saying it's the World ITU Championships, but nothing's been formally announced yet, but it looks like that's going to be 7th of May, so I'll probably not do the Ibiza race. Hopefully I'll do the Italy. I was talking to a guy at the weekend who said it's great, but it looks like the weather's not going to be fantastic in Italy around May time in Venice. Or I think it's actually April or March time in the Europeans is, so it might be a bit cold. So just going to decide what to do really and where to focus. The aim is to try and get a world's medal next year. Finished 4th 2021, so I've got my European medal this year, so I'm hoping I can get onto the rostrum on the Worlds, and just deciding then where I need to focus. So most likely going to be the world medal, and then look at what else I do outside of that next year, because unfortunately a lot of the races are front-ended next year, so after sort of March, April, May, I think the English Champs is around March time, European Standard is around March time, World Standard is last weekend of April, and then the World Middle Distance looks like that's going to be the weekend after that, so it's all front-ended last year, so just going to plan what I want to do, where I need to focus on. But I did say this year I'd focus on the middle distance, so I think that's where I'll look to challenge or channel my sort of efforts really, and then after that sort of look at the TTs and the 5k races through the summer to try and get that sort of 16-minute 5k and that 20-minute 10-mile TTs that have been the focus for the past few years on those events, so it's sort of coming down slowly. I think 16-18 this year on the 5k and then 20-30 this year on the 10 mile, so I think that'll be the focus then, and then decide on what I want to do for the rest of the year with I think the only other big duathlon is the British Champs around October time, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, and then see if there's any other sort of regional races or local races I want to do through the summer in terms of duathlon as well. But yeah, so it looks like 2023 could be pretty busy, most likely the front end of the year, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for subscribing if you haven't, please subscribe and like. Any questions, any comments, more than happy to answer. But yeah, I'll try and put some more videos up again in the next few weeks, just showing some of the training that I've been doing this next 3-week block. But yeah, see you all soon. Hope you're all well and racing well and training hard, and hopefully see you soon.